On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, the NCAA tournament is officially underway, and outside of a fun ending in the Pitt Mississippi State game, I gotta say that was a pretty ugly game of basketball. It was, but it's fun, and it felt like March. In the end, Mississippi State had a wide open shot to win it. Two of them, really, if you count the tip in. They did not make either one. They lose by one. We watched the game here at Barstool with Brandon Walker sitting right beside us. I tried all I could to get him to come on the show and cry for our amusement. I've already thrown that out the window, TJ, by the way. I said when Rutgers was on the bubble, I was rooting for you because I didn't want to be the guy at Barstool who was laughing at others' misery. But tonight I got a really good taste of it with not only Brandon, but I mean, we might have to talk about Rutgers and the NIT.
Nah, I don't think we're talking about the NIT.
But watching Mississippi State in the play-in game with Brandon, I think I threw all of that out the window, and now I'm officially just pointing and laughing because that was hilarious how they lost. Anyway, the NCAA tournament's underway, and that's fun. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I got a couple of guests lined up today. Coleman Crawley is this kid who is he was on the Yak, wasn't he? That you guys brought him in for something, and he spun the wheel and got a job, and then never got a job here. Basically,
he got his stuff sent to Dave.
Yeah, that's what happened. But he's a kid who I came across him via Twitter. I think the way he described himself on his Twitter is like he was looking for Cinderella before the ball. I think that's in his Twitter bio, something like that. This kid has been following all these small schools the entire college basketball season, all for one reason. Leading up to the NCAA tournament, he wants to be the guy who knows about your Colgates, for example, your Drakes, for example, some of these schools that guys like me that just every night sit down on the couch, turn on ESPN, turn on Fox, and watch the big boys play. I don't know a ton about the smaller schools. I'm not going to pretend I do. Coleman does, so we brought him on to break it down. If you're tweaking your bracket and you need some help, if Jake Marsh and I weren't enough help and you need someone else's input, I got Coleman on to talk about that a little bit. Also joining us in studio is NIT Stu, who don't laugh, even though I'm laughing. You guys aren't allowed to laugh. We did a little bit of an NIT preview, and we did this before Rutgers played tonight, so I don't remember what we talked about, but Rutgers definitely came up, and then Rutgers went out and lost to Hofstra. But NIT Stu is another guy that I follow, and I find him fascinating because this man is obsessed with the NIT 365, 7 days a week, 24. This is all this man does, is just obsess over the NIT. So I brought him in. I don't know. A lot of people listening are like, I'm good. I don't need an NIT preview. I don't need any NIT discussion. I understand. That's all right. That's your prerogative. But I wanted NIT Stu on. We talked a little bit about North Carolina snubbing the NIT. I made my picks. I don't know. It was fun. He's a fun guy. He gets it. We'll put it that way. He definitely gets it. So fun show coming up. We're going to talk about the NCAA tournament getting underway, have a couple fun interviews, and then TJ and I will have some fun at the end. All of that is coming up. All right, apologies to Pitt fans. First of all, big win. Congratulations, you're moving on. They will play Iowa State on Friday, I believe, in Greensboro. And I do like this Pitt team when they're hitting shots, and they didn't really shoot too poorly tonight. So I want to start by apologizing because I watched this game through the lens of Mississippi State because we were here at the Gambling Cave at Barstool, and I'm sitting next to Brandon Walker, who is a Mississippi State guy. And through that lens, and I think through any lens, because I was, you can gauge how a game is going beyond just like the environment you're in. Through the lens of Brandon, though, this became just a completely disgusting game of basketball, and I'm not surprised at all. This is who Mississippi State has been all year. I think I said on the preview, the bracket previews, I certainly said it when we were doing the SEC tournament preview, that if you're someone who hates college basketball, first of all, don't know how you found the show, but welcome. Good to have you. If you're someone who points to college basketball players as guys who are unskilled, guys who cannot shoot, guys who don't really know what they're doing on the offensive end, on down the line, Mississippi State is the team you point to. Mississippi State is the team you clip up and you tweet you post those clips on NBA Reddit and you're like, look how dog shit college basketball is. Who could ever watch this? It's Mississippi State. That's the team over and over and over again. I tried to watch so much Mississippi State basketball this year because I want to respect Chris Jans. I think he's a great coach. I think the program is relevant in a way they haven't been in a while. I do think, in year one to get a team to the NCAA tournament, technically, I guess, which, like, let's be honest, none of us would really count it as an NCAA tournament, but in this case, we'll count it for him. I think all of these things are good, but at the end of the day, like, they are an atrocious basketball team to watch. They are just not fun whatsoever. The turnovers, the lack of shooting. So this game took on an ugly feel because Mississippi State was playing like they always do. Pitt was actually not too bad. They were hitting shots. Blake Henson hits the one that felt like the dagger with 13 seconds on the shot clock. That might be the only shot I remember from the game. Like, honestly, by tomorrow, because I tried to block a lot of this out of my mind. So many offensive fouls, so many like Pitt shot decently from the 3-point line in a way that Mississippi State didn't. I mean, they kind of did in the first half and then they fell apart, but there's so many just like Pitt got abused in the paint all night, which again, that's how Mississippi State plays. But that was a basketball game that I will be perfectly fine with never watching another second of. But the important thing here is that the end delivered in a way that only March can, which was that it came down to the final shot. Mississippi State has a shot to win it at the buzzer. They miss it. They miss the tip in, and we got a little taste of March Madness. So that's pretty much it. How much do I like this Pitt team moving forward? I don't know. I didn't come away from this saying that I really love the Pitt team. I think they're kind of like I love Blake Henson. He's the one guy I do love. He kind of did something similar against Miami with the shot he hit at the end of this game, which ended it felt like the dagger. It felt like that one. Okay, this game's now over. But then State kind of came back and made a game of it there at the end. But the Henson shot, it felt like he hit like 5 of those against Miami in that game that ended up being for the ACC crown. So like I think there's Pitt's more fun for sure. For sure. The Guillermo kid, the Spanish kid, and his brother off the bench who's not as good, which is always weird. I always find that weird when you have like twin brothers and one's so much better than the other. That is always Johnny Davis was awesome for Wisconsin and his brother is like not an All-American, and that's always kind of confusing. I don't really get how that happens. He wasn't really great, but he hit 1 3, and it's like when he I don't know. When Pitt is making shots, they're fun. When they're not, they're not. I don't like. I guess what I'm trying to say, the thesis of this opening statement is that this was a very bad basketball game that we can trick ourselves into thinking was good because it was close in the end. And I guess that's all you really want in March. But otherwise, I'm flushing this one down and moving on. I will say, though, watching Brandon sweat out Mississippi State was a ton of fun. And I can't get enough of that. I do understand why this place has built a culture of reveling in everyone's misery because that was fun. That was definitely fun. That was fun. You weren't around to see it, though, really.
No, I took a pain nap after
Yeah.
our game. I went and sat in a dark room for a little bit.
Yeah. I'm sorry, buddy. We can move on now. Like, we don't have to talk about Rutgers anymore on the show.
5-star coming in next year.
Yeah. Yeah, that does suck.
Unless he decommits.
Yeah. I didn't take really any pleasure in Rutgers losing. That one wasn't because it was the NIT.
So the thing with that is that I'm generally an okay person to be around, and Brandon is insufferable.
Brandon's insufferable.
When he loses, it's like
it's
yes,
more fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun. It's more fun. Yeah. I all I could think as Rutgers was losing. They choke it away, get sent to overtime, you blow it in overtime. I felt so bad. I just felt so bad for myself for sticking my neck out for you guys, you fraud of a program, and saying that you belong in the NCAA tournament only to lose at home to Hofstra, dude.
When did you get?
So hired? I felt bad for me. Honestly, I felt bad for me more than anyone else because I thought like I was doing a good thing, fighting the fight for you guys to get you in the tournament, even though you blamed. The whole reason Rutgers wasn't even in the tournament, you blamed on me because Tanner Holden shot. And then that's how I get repaid. I was like, all right, well, I'll fight the fight for TJ, and then your team immediately shits down their leg against Hofstra at home. Anyway, Mississippi State getting a wide open 3 to win the game was just you could not have drawn it up any better for 2 reasons. One, it's a wide open shot to end an NCAA tournament game. 2, it's a wide open shot for the worst shooting team in the country, maybe.
Yeah, what's their 3-point rating is like in the 300s.
So it's like, yeah, you suck at shooting, but you're wide open. They were hitting some to start. I think they started like 3 for 4 from the 3-point line this game. I don't know. I was cheering for Mississippi State. I really was. Like as the game was going on, I was like, this would be fun because I watching Brandon sweat stuff out. I think it'd be more fun to get more of that. And I think getting him talking himself into them going on a run, and then he gets the rug pulled out for him would have been a lot of fun instead of just on the play-in night. But whatever.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But having people that are like fully invested to teams does make the streams better.
Yeah,
like when everybody can either support or go against one person.
Yeah.
And that sucks when, there's no Michigan for Dave, there's no Wisconsin for Dan, there's no
Ohio State for me.
Right. And now there's no Mississippi State, so I don't know if
Rico's got his 7 or 8 teams that he loves those, so there's that.
Well, he won't be at the streams.
Oh, he won't be at the streams.
I don't know.
I really didn't know that. No, that's going to be interpreted as me taking a shot, but it was not.
I don't know if anybody has their team at these streams. Megan making money, who you'll meet as a LSU fan.
I've met her before. Yeah, I met her in Baton Rouge. I'm trying to look up here. Yeah.
Jake has Vermont.
Jake's riding Vermont.
He might be
hard.
The only person. If I'm thinking of
the
list.
I don't want to step on the interview coming up here with Coleman too much, but I'm some last minute bracket thoughts that I'm having, and I'm going to stick to my picks. If you watch Jake and I make our picks on YouTube or listen to it on the pod, whatever, the bracket I filled out with Jake 20 minutes after the bracket came out, giving it zero thought, just going on instinct. I'm sticking with it. But I'm having a lot of second thoughts that everybody seems really high on these 15 seeds. But I wrote it in my manifesto. I literally wrote, do not trust Colgate, do not trust Vermont. And now all of a sudden, like all the chatter around is, so this is why you have to write this stuff down. And this is why you also have to stick with your gut, because I don't know, I might be proven wrong. I might, Vermont and Colgate could pull off some upsets, and I'll feel like a real boob for not falling in line with everyone else who's taking big swings on these 15s. Because 2 years in a row now, TJ, 15s have beaten 2 seeds. This is something that's happening. So people are talking themselves into 15 over 2 being the new 12 over 5, I guess. I can't do it with Vermont and Colgate. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't. I've done it too many times. I've gone like it's the definition of insanity in my mind. So I'm trying to block out the noise, but the noise is getting louder, and I think people are really I'm kind of worried. So what was your bracket, by the way? Have you filled one out yet?
No, I was.
Are you going? You're not
I
going
will
to?
In the morning. I was too emotional, but I know that, and this is nothing against you. I think Kent State is my upset in the first round.
I have Kent State beating IU. I had that was in the manifesto.
That was part of
Yeah, like the Indiana would be the team I'm cheering for, I guess, at this point.
Right.
Now that Ohio State's out, but I have Drake in the bracket buskers we're doing here at Barstool as well, which
it's a good pick.
So I'm kind of set as long as Miami, which is probably what's going to end up happening. If Miami. So if Kent State comes out of that little pod, if Kent State makes the Sweet 16, that's what I have in my bracket. If Drake does it, that's what I have for the buskers deal, where I get to go to Ireland. That's the prize.
If you go to the Sweet 16.
Dude, that's awesome. Jake and I get to go to Ireland. And if Indiana makes it, I'll be happy because I like the Hoosiers. And, it'd be fun to have my dad be happy to see the Hoosiers back in the Sweet 16. So the only way it could go wrong is Miami making it, which means that's probably what's going to happen.
It'll be Miami and Purdue.
Purdue the Final Four. So Pitt moves on. Jamarius Burton with the big shot to win the game. A little disappointed he didn't say I'm him. At least I couldn't tell from the replay. Maybe he did, but like the quick shot I saw, I was looking for it. He didn't really say I'm him. So maybe that phrase is out now. I don't know. Maybe the kids don't say that anymore, but that felt like a moment where he would just like point to the ground and say, I'm him, and then pop his jersey. Didn't really I don't know what he said. I'll have to review the tape, but Pitt moves on. They're probably the better team for entertainment purposes. Well, they're the better team. They went out and proved it tonight, but they're the better team for entertainment purposes. I think a Mississippi State Iowa State game would have been disgusting. It would have been an affront to basketball. And I think that we're better off having Pitt play Iowa State. So I'm happy with the result. Looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to be, at least I am. Are you going to the games in Dayton tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh,
I'll be around.
Damn it, dude. I keep thinking like everybody's involved in all this.
Private jet crew is a different echelon than the commercials.
I'm learning protocols here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I'm going to the games tomorrow, though. I'm going to the play-in games. Arizona State, Nevada is the big one. Then the 16 seeds obviously playing. Shout out Corpus Christi, by the way. First ever NCAA tournament win. I think they count. I think you only count as being in the tournament if you're a 16 seed. If you're a 16 in the play-in, it counts as being in the tournament. If you're an 11 seed, like Mississippi State did not actually make the tournament this year, but Southeast Missouri did, even though they lost tonight too. They made the tournament. Mississippi State didn't. That's my official stance on it. If you're an automatic qualifier, you made the tournament. If you're an at-large who did not win the play-in game, you did not actually make the tournament.
So that would be the field of
66.
66.
66, yeah. I have 66 teams in. Yeah. I had Rutgers in, but not anymore.
You had them winning a game.
I had them winning. Yeah, I did. My
That's
bracket.
busted.
My bracket.
There goes my bracket.
My bracket, I had Rutgers winning the first round game against TCU. And then I also had Mississippi State beating Iowa State. So this is what I do for you people. I think that's why I'm so mad. And I'm like, all right, I see the dark side now, because I step in here and I try to cheer for my friends, and this is how I get repaid. All right, enough of that. Let's talk to Coleman Crawley. He's like I said, he's a fun dude on Twitter, fun follow. He was at like all these small conference tournaments, and his story's wild because he's just like a kid who just was like, I'm gonna just go to like tiny schools and and cheer them on. It is really funny. Some of his videos are hysterical. I don't know if they're funny on purpose or not. But to have a guy in a gym with like 200 people and he's like yelling the players' first names and making eye contact with them and then like clapping at them. I imagine the players are very confused. Like, whose family member is this? What is going on? Why is this guy a super fan of ours? Anyway, I discovered these videos. I thought they were funny. He also independently got on the yak somehow.
Yeah, he was just like hanging around the office and DMing Big Cat his videos. And Big Cat one day was just like, come on up. And that turned into Big Cat putting up a hired / keep doing what you're doing wheel. He had a 5% chance to get hired, and he hit. And so Big Cat sent his stuff to Dave. And
then Dave said no.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm doing my part to get this man hired here. Here's Coleman Crawley breaking down some of the Cinderellas. But first, let's hear a word from our friends at Rhoback Activewear. It is the best time of year, and there's no better way to spend it than with Rhoback. That first weekend of the college basketball tournament may be the best weekend of all of sports, and it isn't the same without Rhoback. I'm literally wearing my Rhoback performance hoodie right now. It is the softest, stretchiest hoodie in the game. They're moisture wicking too, so when you're sweating out that bet or bracket buster, Rhoback's hoodies will get you through. Their performance Q-zips are the definition of versatile, perfect to rock in an arena or on your couch, and Rhoback's performance joggers are made for March. They're flexible, allowing for easy movement and celebrations when that buzzer beater falls. Rhoback has been gaining traction big time after partnering with stars Armando Bacot and Kihei Clark. These guys are on a roll. So use code Titus on Rhoback.com for 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com for 20% off hoodies, Q-zips, polos, and joggers with code Titus. I absolutely love Rhoback. They have sponsored multiple versions of shows that I've done. They have been great to me. They've been great to Barstool. They have the most comfortable clothing on planet Earth. It is perfect for NCAA tournament. Go buy a bunch of Rhoback stuff, chill on your couch, watch these games, and thank me later. All right, Coleman Crawley is with me. He is a kid that I came about. Sorry to say kid, by the way. How old are you?
26, but I look like
yeah,
a
I'm
kid.
sorry. I didn't mean to.
No,
some people would take
fine.
offense to that. But you are a guy, I should say, that I came by organically in the sense that I'm just scrolling through Twitter throughout this college basketball season. And sporadically, I see these videos of a dude losing his mind in an empty gym for a small school. And this kept happening over and over and over again. And then during conference, the conference tournaments, you really blew up because you had like a knack for being at it felt like you were at every single small conference tournament, sitting courtside, witnessing buzzer beaters. And the way I would describe you is, from my perspective, is you go to these small schools and you do the opposite of heckling, where you're not just cheering for them. You're calling players out by name. You're making eye contact. It's like you're their father, their brother, or something. It feels like very, very personal. And I thought it was genius and hilarious and interesting and all that sort of thing. So I wanted you to come in and help us talk about some of these smaller schools in the bracket. Did I get your background correct, Coleman? Like, is that how you would describe yourself to my listeners?
Yes, I think you described it perfectly. I'm basically there to try to be another parent, another brother, like you mentioned. I researched all the guys before. There are obviously several teams up at the top that I had watched them beforehand, and I had an idea that I wanted to see them. But definitely, I try to be their biggest supporter, basically.
Where did this come from? What is your background? Like, how do you go from being a guy who doesn't do this to suddenly you're now going to all these small schools, rooting them on and losing your mind when they hit buzzer beaters?
Well, I tried to be a bracketologist and give out gambling picks and try to break into the college basketball space that way for about 2 years. And I realized, okay, no one's going to listen. I'm not going to pick up a following rapidly unless I do something crazy. And so I knew mid-majors was a great niche to break into. They don't get, obviously, as much coverage as the Power 6 teams. And when I was looking up the attendance numbers, St. Peter's last year averaged 526 people at their home games.
That's crazy, yeah. And then they go to the
They went to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
So there's a high level of basketball being played that very few people are watching, that I was like, okay, I can get great access, show off this high level of basketball, and maybe one of these teams I've been following since late December makes a run in the NCAA tournament.
So let's talk about some of these teams, because one thing that jumped out to me that I've been talking about since the bracket came out is that, and you're the guy to ask, but it feels to me like these smaller schools, more so than the average year, they went chalk with their conference tournaments, where the teams that are coming out of these smaller conferences are the teams that were dominating these smaller conferences all year. There's not a lot of Cinderella stories in that regard, where like a 4 or 5 seed got hot in their conference tournament and bumped the favorite out. So with that, going into this NCAA tournament, I think it is primed for a lot of double-digit seeds to win, because you have so many teams. I think I counted 13 teams with a 12 seed or higher, or lower, I guess is how we would say it, that have won 25 or more games. 13 of the small, like that. So basically, you have a ton of these small schools have won a ton of games this year. But let's talk about some of your favorites. So I picked a few 12/5 upsets. Those are obviously the sexy picks for people when they want to take big swings in their bracket. What to you, of the teams that are 12 or higher in this bracket, who do you like the most? Who have you seen the most? What give the people your read on it.
The team with the most upset potential, I think, in Vegas would agree, they're only 1 possession underdogs, 2.5-point dogs, is Drake. Drake is a perfect Cinderella team. They've got a coach's son as their leading scorer, sophomore Tucker DeVries. He's nearly a 20-point per game guy. After that, they have 5 seniors. So they're very veteran outside of their star. Roman Penn, a very good point guard, 12-5-5 guy. Miami, Omir and his health, that's a big question mark. They're already extremely guard-oriented. Losing him is going to hurt against a really good defensive rebounding team in Drake. Drake is my team that I think has the biggest first-round upset potential.
I'm glad you said that, because I have Drake beating Miami. Miami is so Miami won the ACC, and yet they are so erratic and just like if you watch Miami play all season, they are prone to crap away a big lead. I like what you said about Drake's seniors, like, because this is another thing that I look for is like the upperclassmen, the small schools that have a ton of senior leadership. So that's good. I have Drake winning the first game as well against Miami.
And to your point about the seniors, I mean, almost all of these teams that have won 25 plus games, these 12 to 15 seeds, are very senior oriented, and not just seniors, but of course with the extra COVID year. You got some guys that are 24, 25. Drake, I want to say, is like older than the Thunder starting lineup. It's crazy. Their average age.
Stats. I love when what was the one a couple of years ago? I think it was Wisconsin and the Bulls. Because Dan would talk about it all the time because those were his two favorite teams, obviously, the Bulls and Wisconsin. And the Wisconsin had an older starting lineup than the Chicago Bulls.
Brad was 30, still playing.
Brad was. So one team that I really like. So before I even filled out my bracket, I wrote down a bunch of rules of no matter what the bracket says, do not stray from these rules. And one of the rules I wrote down was make Oral Roberts win at least one game. And then the bracket came out, and Oral Roberts has Duke, who is red hot, who is super talented. And I hate that for Oral Roberts. I think Oral Roberts is the best 12 seed by far. For this is for me. You know more than I do. But I also think Duke is the best 5 seed. So that matchup is going to give me fits in terms of actually if I was to bet on that particular game. I picked Oral Roberts to win because, like I said, before the bracket came out, I said no matter what happens, make Oral Roberts win a game. How do you feel about Oral Roberts' chances?
I watched them play North Dakota State, get out to a 20-point lead within the first 10 minutes, hit about 6 threes, and I was like, oh my gosh, they are so much better than they were as that 15 seed that made a run. And then I watched them play absolutely putrid basketball for about the next 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
North Dakota State came back, made the game contentious. ORU ended up holding on by about 8. But this is a team that is so three-point reliant. They go through big droughts, and if they do that against the Duke, I'm afraid they could get run out of the gym. I actually like Duke in the spread there. I don't love ORU's chances to win this. It's going to be very determined on how well they shoot from behind the line. Dude? I know, but the size...
I picked these double digits thinking you'd be like, yes, do it.
The size concerns me with Duke and ORU. ORU does have a 7'5" kid in Connor Vanover, but he's a stick. Grant Nelson, who's a stud in North Dakota State, just bodied him the second half, and I'm worried Duke can do more of the same.
Damn it. What the fuck?
But dude, it could absolutely happen. They shoot it so well from the perimeter. They get hot.
Well, I mean, it's also I'm biased in the sense that I'm an Ohio State guy, so Max Asmus will haunt me for the rest of my days. And I see him and Oral Roberts. I think this team, I've seen it before. This team is awesome. And this team's better than the 15 seed team.
They are. What was enticing about that 15 seed team is not only did they most of the time have the best player on the floor, they at times had the 2 best players on the floor. And that 1-2 punch, you never see that with a mid-major team. This year, the role guys have stepped up more. There are a couple guys that are on that 15 seed to where they're a little bit more balanced, but they don't have that 1-2 punch. It's Abe Smith and the others.
Can I ask you about Charleston? Because I started a feud-ish with Charleston fans. When Charleston got ranked in the AP poll, I lost my mind because
that was silly.
I thought it was preposterous that they were ranked. And I just thought the whole premise was stupid that we had to pretend that they were one of the 18 best teams in the country. But at the same time, I kind of backed off of it after a couple weeks because I realized that the players aren't ranking themselves. The coaches aren't ranking themselves. It's unfair for me to crap all over what's been a special season for them. Mm-hmm. So I kind of backed off of it. Be that as it may, I never really felt when I watched Charleston that this is a team that jumps off the screen at me and I say, holy crap, this team is awesome. At the same time, they've won 31 games.
Right.
And there's something to be said about that they get put in these positions where they're not playing well. It's a close game late. They find a way to win it. I think Charleston is not a quote-unquote good basketball team, but they do win games. And I found, Coleman, for me, winning games is some of the most important things you can do in the NCAA tournament.
Does that matter? That matters?
I have them in the Sweet 16. Now you're going to go ahead and talk me out of that, I assume.
I've seen Charleston 3 times. I watched 2 poor performances. They had a poor performance in the championship game, escape. They were down 8 with 6 minutes to go against UNC Wilmington. I watched them play the same UNC Wilmington team at home, beat them by 32, and I was like, okay, this team can play with anybody. And then I watched them lose on the road to Drexel. So I've seen this team at their lowest for sure. They are very 3-point reliant. I think top 10 in the country in high frequency 3-point percent, or the majority of their shots they take are from 3.
Yeah.
So because of that, they can go on big runs and they can also go on big droughts. They have 6 guys that average between 9 and 13 points per game, so they're very balanced. But what I tend to find with those balanced teams, when things aren't going well, you haven't scored for 3 or 4 straight possessions, then it's like, oh, wait, is it my turn? Is it your turn? Who are we going with this shot here? And they can go on long droughts because of that. But, man, and they played a really fast tempo. San Diego State, a team that likes to play slower, team that focuses very much on the defensive end. They're good at defending the 3. I don't love this matchup for Charleston. I hate that I'm saying it again. I said it about Duke. I love Drake's matchup. But yeah, I don't love this matchup for Charleston.
Those are the two 12 seeds I have going to the Sweet 16. We're Oral Roberts and Charleston. And this man comes into my show and says,
as a Cinderella lover.
As a Cinderella lover. That's the thing, is I get accused of being too chalky and loving the power schools too much. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to have two 12 seeds in my Sweet 16. And the Cinderella lover comes in and says, that's a huge mistake. Don't do that.
No, I love it, and I hope my bracket's ruined.
So who else do you like? Who have you? Who's the team that like you don't necessarily think is awesome per se, but you just love them. You just love their story. You love watching them. You're rooting for them, but you're like, I don't know how long they're going to last in this tournament, but damn it, I just love these guys being around them and all that.
3 teams that fit that mold. Number 1, Colgate. I followed them for 6 games. They were kind of my original darling that popped off on TikTok. It's like a funeral at Patriot League games. So when they had someone up yelling for them the entire time, they were like, who the hell is this guy? You know?
That's why.
So they interacted well.
That's how I came across you. It's like you were just a clip of like seeing a guy losing his mind at a Patriot League game is objectively hilarious. Yeah,
right. They were like,
funny.
What in the world is going on? So they play such a beautiful brand of basketball. They're first in the country in 3-point percentage. They space the floor so well. They move it ridiculously well. Their 2-guard, Tucker Richardson, he had double-figure assist as the 2-guard in all 3 games of their tournament. He is an unbelievable passer. I love watching this team. Texas, I'd be furious. I'd be irate. You win the Big 12 championship. You have an incredible season. And you get Colgate in the first round, a team that, as a 14 seed the last 2 years, gave Arkansas trouble for a while, got up 14, gave Wisconsin trouble for 30 minutes before they went on a drought. Colgate absolutely could pull off an upset, but I hate that matchup against Texas.
I'm with you. I have Texas going to the national championship game.
God, they're playing great right now.
They're so good and so deep. But yeah, if Colgate had a different 2 seed, I could talk myself into it, but I don't know about Texas.
Now, Texas in 21 won the Big 12 tournament. They were a 3 seed, trendy pick to the Final Four. They got sent home by Abilene Christian.
That's true.
I hope something like that happens again. A couple others that I'm interested in. Kennesaw State's the best story going in college basketball.
Yeah. Explain what their story is again for everybody.
3 years ago, they won 1 game. Terrell Burden, one of their players, was on that team. 2 years ago, they won 5 games. The other 3 leading scorers were on that team. So their 4 leading scorers have experienced the lowest of the lows in college basketball. Last year, they won 13 games. So 19 wins in 3 seasons, 13 of them coming in 1 year. And they win 26 games this year.
That's incredible.
That turnaround story, that's what college basketball is all about right there. Perseverance, resilience.
They beat Liberty, correct, in the conference.
For a second time. They beat them at home to get the 1 seed and get that home court advantage, and then we're able to beat them again in the championship.
Liberty was a team I was really excited about picking in this tournament.
Me too.
So I remember I was watching Kennesaw State Liberty, and I thought, man, I'm really bummed about Liberty not making it because I was going to have Liberty go far in my bracket. But then the Kennesaw State story, I was like, how can you hate this? You have to cheer. You have to cheer for Kennesaw State. So it was a little bittersweet for me watching that championship.
Right.
What about have you seen much of Vermont? Because Jake Marsh was on my show when we filled out our brackets. He's a big time Vermont guy. Claims to have been on the team because he called games for them. But then he said he cut down nets, which I actually think is a great argument in his favor. But anyway, he drinks the Vermont quote. Vermont could be 1-30 going into this tournament, and he would be like, look out for Vermont. And I've tried to explain to him, Jake, every single time Vermont makes an NCAA tournament, they talk about the TJ Sorrentine shot. And the reason they talk about the TJ Sorrentine shot is because Vermont has done nothing else in the tournament since then, 2005. But they do play a great brand of basketball, and they are a team that a lot of people, if they want to take huge swings, there's something about seeing Vermont in a bracket that is sexy and attractive. Where do you land with Vermont?
Jake, I completely understand trying to claim that you were on the team. I try to claim that I'm on Colgate. I didn't even go to school there, didn't call any of their games. I try to claim that I'm on their team. Vermont, I'm picking them to get the win.
Whoa.
I'm picking them to be the 15 over the 2 upset.
Whoa.
I think there's 3 that could potentially happen. UNC Asheville, Colgate also have chances as well. But I'm picking Vermont against Marquette. Marquette, they're similar to St. John's, much better than them at this. But in that, when they're not turning you over, they're not a very good defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
And Vermont does a great job taking care of the basketball. They've got a lot of guards. Their 6 leading scorers are seniors. This is an extremely old team. Best player, Dylan Penn, is Jalen Brunson-esque. Obviously not as good, but he loves to post up. And when he posts, oftentimes it brings help, and they do an incredible job generating ball movement.
They play booty ball?
Anytime.
They got their point guard posting up?
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
he kind of plays off guard the 2 on occasion and will go post up, but very much like a point guard. This team moves the ball tremendously well. They shoot it great from the perimeter, and they take care of it. If they can take care of it against Marquette, I like their chances.
TJ, what this man comes into to the show, tells me that the double-digit seeds I picked are wrong. I have Marquette and Texas both in my Final Four, and he tells me that they're going to lose in the first round of 15 seeds.
I would love if I'm right.
What is what am I supposed to do with this? Quick break to talk about our friends at Gametime, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Gametime is a new ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. They cracked the code on how to score deals on last-minute tickets. It's possible with the Gametime app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats that you thought you could never buy. The purchase process takes just 2 taps and 10 seconds, and once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone. No printer is needed. The app also allows you to easily share tickets with friends via text, so you can get into the game seamlessly. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Gametime app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code Titus for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but go download the app now. Enter code Titus, $20 off your first purchase. Gametime. You said Asheville over UCLA. That has your attention.
Those are 3 potential ones. Like I said, I'm just picking Vermont. But Asheville, they're 18-point dogs against UCLA. Kim Pom would consider them the luckiest team in the country. They have 9 second-half comeback wins.
Who's this? Asheville has
yes.
They're the luckiest team in the country?
Yes, that's what Kim Pom says for their record. This is a team you do not want to let hang around, or they will take advantage. UCLA better in them early. What worries me about UCLA, they're already not a very deep team. Only 7 guys average over a point per game. Jalen Clark now out. Adam Bona hurt. Who knows if he'll come back. So UNC Asheville is one of the best teams in the country at drawing fouls. If they are able to get UCLA in foul trouble, I could see a potential upset. Drew Pember is the best in the country at drawing fouls, 6'10", plays a beautiful game, averages about 22 and 9. Tajon Jones, a top 5 3-point shooter. I like this Asheville team. They turn it over a lot, though, and UCLA is a great defensive team.
Yeah.
I worry that UCLA could run away with it early, but if they let Asheville hang around, Asheville will take advantage. Don't let them hang around.
They're a team where wacky stuff happens.
Yes.
Charleston felt that way to me when I watched them. You're like, this team is not good, and then they win, and you're like, at a certain point, you have to respect it.
In the Big South Final, I watched them down 14 with 7:15 to go, thinking, all right, this one's over. Campbell's going to the tournament. And they come back. Pember and Jones combined for 24 of their last 25. Unreal performance late, and they get the win.
The 14 seeds, do we know much about them? Because for some reason, like the 15s were attractive to me. The 12s were attractive. I guess we could talk about the 13s and 14s. It kind of fell apart for me. I was like, this doesn't really do much for me. But I'm also a moron. What?
I'm biased. I hate the 14 seeds this year. Kennesaw State, again, I think is a great story, but I don't think they have a great chance to win. And then the other 14s are on the West Coast. So I didn't get out there. I didn't see any of them.
You're anti-West Coast. You're East Coast bias.
It's just, listen, that's a lot of land and not very many schools.
Well,
it just wasn't cost effective.
Here's what you got to say, Coleman. Take it. I'm a seasoned pro at this.
Right.
If you want access,
market for me.
Yeah. So you have to you have to call out the schools and say you didn't do enough for me. So you put it on them and you say I'm not biased. I just go where I'm loved. Right. And Montana State and UC Santa Barbara is the one you need to.
Oh, that'd be nice,
dude. You should get in with UC Santa. Like if UC Santa Barbara is rolling out the red carpet for you, you
yes.
have arrived. You have.
I've made it.
As a guy that lives in Southern California, let me tell you, Santa Barbara is the coolest place ever, dude. If you could.
All right, I'm gonna reach out.
That's your new. That should be your new angle. Is just like I'm going to Santa Barbara for like 3 months and just covering UC Santa Barbara basketball. You Grand Canyon, same thing. You got to get on these schools and say like, roll out the red carpet for me, give me courtside seats, and I'll give you all the pub as well. Put it on them.
I need to get out west, especially with Grand Canyon. They've got a great atmosphere. You watched a bunch of Mountain West teams have great atmospheres. I definitely need to get out there, and we'll plan to next year. And you're right. I got to market myself, reach out to them.
113 seed I do like that I have going to the Sweet 16. This was another team I wrote down before the bracket even came out as a rule because I when the bracket comes out, I just get I'm whichever way the wind's blowing, I can get influenced. So I was like, no matter what happens, before the bracket comes out, make sure you have your MAC champion go to the Sweet 16. So I have
whoever it was,
no matter what the matchup was. I love the MAC teams in the tournament. I always do. They either win or they play really well, it feels like, in the first round. They don't always win the first round game, but it feels like they're always in it. Especially a matchup now that I'm looking at. I love Indiana. The Hoosiers I grew up an Indiana fan. My family is full of Indiana fans. I watch a ton of Indiana. If Indiana won the national championship, I would certainly enjoy that. But a MAC school versus a Big Ten school is just like a perfect situation for Kent State. Like that locker room is just going to be full of dudes just being like, they disrespect us. They like that. The MAC Big Ten vibe is so perfect for the MAC schools to pull off the ups because Indiana, it works the other way. Like Indiana's like, these guys are bums. They probably know each other. They probably like all grew up playing against each other. They're all from the Midwest. And the MAC guys have the chip on their shoulder. What do you know about Kent State that you can help? Please don't tell me that this was a bad pick as well.
I watched them in just the second half. I did a doubleheader, so I was only able to get over to them at halftime, but I watched them play Buffalo. They're supposed to have one of the best mid-major defenses in the country. I didn't see that on display, but when I walked in, they were up 11, and it was one of those games where they were up 11-15 the whole way, and we're just like, all right, let's get out of here and get a win. So I didn't see that defensive intensity that they're supposed to have. Sincere Carey is tremendous, an unbelievable finisher at the rim, very creative. So with that defense, with him, they're absolutely a team that could make a run. I don't have them. The 13 seed that I love more, ironically, 2 years ago, got beat by a MAC team, Virginia, in this very slot as a 4 seed. I love Furman in that game against Virginia. Now, Furman is one of the most Jekyll and Hyde teams I've seen all year. Every game that I go to, they will go on massive runs and then give up a 10-0 drought because they play a brand where they're very focused on the offensive end. They got 3 unbelievable scorers in Mike Bothwell and Jalen Slauson and JP Peegs. Those guys could play with anybody, but they're not a great defensive team. So when they're not scoring, they're giving up points on the other end.
Yeah.
In Virginia, I'm worried if they do that. Tony Bennett, obviously masterful coach, he'll slow it down, limit their possession. So Furman's definitely going to want to speed them up, get out early, and has to limit the droughts that they've had.
But that's the 13 you like the most. Iona UConn was a game that everyone, because of the coaching matchup,
that'll be awesome.
It popped off the page at people. But I'm worried that Rick Pitino has 1.5 feet out the door, and he's going to spend the week negotiating a St. John's contract or using the Texas Tech offer for leverage or whatever the hell it is he's got going on in that realm instead of focusing on
I don't see how as a player you couldn't not be worried about that. And this isn't a team that's super senior heavy like most of the 12 to 16 seeds. Nelly Jr., Joseph, Clayton, and Dennis Jenkins could all come back. So, of course, Pitino, wherever he goes, he's probably going to pull one of those guys with him.
Right.
I don't see how that's not playing in the other guys on the roster, their mind. UConn, really tough draw, a team that the predictive metrics have loved all year long. And they're a big and great rebounding team. Nelly Jr. Joseph's a great post against MAAC competition, but how good will he be against UConn? I look for UConn to take care of business.
I agree with you. UConn has looked like the best team in the country at times this year, and I just think they're so overpowering that I can't pick Iona as much as I want Rick Pitino to. His run's going to come wherever he lands next. I think his time at Iona may be done.
Yes.
All right, what else do we have to hit? I mean, I'm trying to think, make sure we got all the.
I think we've about got it all. Who's the bottom left 13?
The bottom left 13, Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns against Tennessee.
I haven't seen them. They were the one team on this east side that I haven't seen. I was hoping Marshall would win that conference tournament.
Oh, you followed a lot of Marshall?
Yeah, I'm so pissed. Tavion Kinsey, Andrew Taylor, they were unbelievable. But I know Louisiana's got Jordan Brown, who was playing with the Twins in Muss at Nevada.
That's right.
He's still playing college basketball.
Basketball, dude. This is crazy. So what, as a recap, put a bow on all this for us. take your big swings. Who do you have? What 12 to 16 seed do you think is going the farthest?
I think Drake has the best chance to go the farthest. I love their first round matchup with O'Meara out. Even if they play Indiana, if Indiana is able to get past Kent State, Indiana doesn't exactly scare me. And then because of the contrast of styles in that Charleston regional, I don't hate that pick to the Sweet 16. I think them or Furman could absolutely get to the Sweet 16 because both Virginia and San Diego State really struggle to score.
Yeah.
And Charleston and Furman at times can overwhelm them with their offensive potential.
Yeah, San Diego State, both San Diego State and Virginia are two teams that I've spent a lot of time this season trying to talk myself into. I've given them 1,000 chances where their rosters are awesome. I like their coaches. I like their cultures of the program. I like everything about them except when I actually watch them play basketball.
Absolutely.
I don't
Couldn't agree
love how they're playing.
Yes. I think I had like preseason San Diego State and Virginia top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I love their coaches. I love their style of play. And because I love defense, but the offense just never comes around.
It just never. And you keep thinking like Matt Bradley's going to go bananas for San Diego State.
Had a
Reese
tough year.
Beekman is going to go bananas and you're like, they're going to turn the corner. It's going to happen. And it just never really happens. And Vanderplas is out for Virginia now.
One we haven't mentioned, that I just saw in the bracket, VCU.
VCU.
St. Mary's is a team that the predictive metrics have loved all year long. They would consider them better than a 5 seed. We just watched them get pummeled, though, by Gonzaga. VCU is probably the best defensive mid-major team in the country. And they're not great in the half court. So if St. Mary's can take care of the basketball, not allow VCU to get in transition, it's going to be a tough night for VCU, especially as good as St. Mary's is defensively. But if St. Mary's is VCU able to speed them up, turn them over, they're incredible in transition. They have the perfect team for it. And look out for this team in the future. This is a young team. If Mike Rhodes is able to keep around next year after, they're going to be unbelievable.
VCU is going to be a team to
a lot of sophomores on that team.
That was the one 12-5 I didn't pick because I think what makes a 12-5 so attractive is you get teams that like a San Diego State's a good example, even though they're not a power conference, and a Duke is a good example. You get a team that had such high expectations to start the year. They kind of underperformed. Duke is red hot though, so maybe they're not the best example, but like it's a team that's like a middle of the pack and not quite as good as they thought they were, and now you're playing like a really freaking good small school.
The best mid-major. Yeah, the best mid-major.
And that's kind of the recipe for why 12s knock off 5s, and I don't think St. Mary's fits that recipe as a 5 seed. I think St. Mary's is the exact opposite, where they're like very locked in culturally, and they're very, they're kind of overachieving for what the talent that they have. So I don't love the 5-12 dynamic doesn't play there for me, but that's no disrespect to VCU. I just think St. Mary's isn't the typical 5 seed like a Miami is. Miami's like the perfect 5 seed.
Absolutely.
For a 12-5 upset, I think.
They were the trendy pick like 3 weeks ago. It was trendy to tweet out, this Miami team could make the Final Four.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
But now with O'Meara out, or who knows if he comes back, maybe not as healthy. Man,
You're right.
I love Drake to pull off that upset there.
They're so undersized to begin with, and O'Meara is going to be out probably, maybe not. If he's playing, is he 100%? Like I said, even when they're fully healthy and fully good, they still are erratic at times. And yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know. Coleman Crawley, thank you so much, man, for coming in and making time for us. This is great insight because I'm not gonna lie to my audience. I don't exactly pay a ton of attention to some of these smaller schools, and the bracket comes out. I don't want to disrespect smaller schools. It's just like when I see a bracket, I'm like, I've watched a lot of Virginia, I've watched a lot of San Diego State. I haven't watched a ton of Furman, so I guess I'll pick Virginia to win. I don't want to be that guy. It's great to have you here to share some information on some of these smaller schools. Thanks so much, dude.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to a crazy tournament. Hopefully there's a lot of upsets.
How can people follow you?
Sharp Shot Select on Twitter and TikTok. So I'm undecided. Would love for the listeners to help me out. Should I go to Orlando? Bunch of potential 12-13 upsets there. Should I go to Albany? Kind of the same story. Or should I follow my Colgate boys and watch this year's 15 over the 2 in Des Moines.
In Des Moines.
Those are my 3 options, and I'm still undecided.
Okay, all right. Who else is in Des Moines? We got
like nobody else that's a potential Cinderella. So that's what
the
hurts.
problem.
That's what hurts.
Des Moines is Kansas, Howard, Arkansas, Illinois. Arkansas, Illinois would be a good game. That doesn't really help your brand though. Like A&M, Penn State, and then Arkansas, Illinois in Des Moines. Those are going to be fun games. Doesn't really help your brand. Doesn't help you professionally.
That's true. It's kind of you're pushing me into Albany or into Orlando.
So I think in Colgate, I mean, let's be honest. I'll say it so you don't have to. They're getting blown the fuck out by Texas.
I will be devastated if that's the case.
Yeah, I think Orlando or Albany are your picks.
Okay.
So Orlando is Charleston, San Diego State. It's Virginia Furman.
Yep.
It's Oral Roberts Duke. It's Louisiana.
4 unbelievable games.
That is really good. And Albany is, remind me, we have Drake, we have Kent State. Who else?
Iona. And then who else?
And then Iona and VCU St. Mary's.
Yeah. 4, both of them.
I don't think you can go wrong. If it was me, I'd probably do Orlando.
You're saying I could go wrong with Des Moines, though.
I think you could go wrong with Des Moines. I think Des Moines would be the most fun because I think Penn State, A&M, and then Arkansas, Illinois, those 2 games could be the 2 best games of the first round in terms of just pure entertainment.
Not my brand,
but that doesn't help your brand.
Right.
That doesn't help your brand. So
we've got to have a niche.
We gotta build the brand, man. And I will help you build the brand, man, because I love your stuff.
Thank you so much.
It's so
Titus.
fun. It's so funny. You got the right mix of information, but also entertainment. And I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Best of luck to you moving forward.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you to Coleman for basically crapping all over every mid-major I thought was good, and then telling me the mid-majors I thought were going to lose are actually going to win. My head is in a pretzel, but hopefully those of you listening made sense of what he was saying and can filter all that information into a successful bracket. My bracket's already busted because of Mississippi State and Rutgers, so Godspeed to all of you. Meanwhile, I want to talk about Barstool Sportsbook. Attention, Massachusetts, the founding home of Barstool Sports, is now the latest state to offer the Barstool Sportsbook. So if you're in Massachusetts, download the Barstool Sportsbook app and sign up today to take advantage of our Cue the Duck Boats offer. Any cash wager of $5 or more will earn new users a $50 bonus bet on the Celtics to win the NBA championship and a $50 bonus bet on the Bruins to win the Cup. Terms do apply. But the Barstool Sportsbook is the official sportsbook of Barstool Sports and the only place to find exclusive bets and odds boosts from your favorite Barstool personalities. And there's all the great features you want in your sportsbook. There's live in-game betting. There's Parlay Plus to bet within the same game or across sports. There's Move the Line and teaser bets. It is easy and secure for registration, deposit, and withdrawals. So remember, Massachusetts, this is the one and only Barstool Sportsbook. Must be 21 plus if you or a loved one is experiencing gambling problems. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start with GameSense. Visit GameSenseMA.com. All right, now here is NIT Stu with an NIT preview when basically the entire first round has already been done. But I don't know. I like this guy. I understand. I'm a little insecure, TJ, if I'm being completely honest about some of the listeners saying, what the hell are we doing an NIT breakdown for? I'm going to be honest, because I like NIT Stu, and I think it's funny, and the guy's passionate about something, and he works hard at it, and I want to give him a platform because he's out here grinding, and we did watch a ton of NIT tonight, not even just Rutgers. I was watching a ton of these NIT games. I found myself watching a lot of Washington State, Eastern Washington, and we were watching Yale Vanderbilt and all that sort of thing, so screw it. If you don't like it, just fast forward, but please don't, because NIT Stu is the best, and he joined us in studio, and we had a fun conversation, so here you go. All right, we are here with NIT Stu, a man that I would describe as, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, Stu, you are kind of the Grim Reaper of college basketball. And I mean that in the sense of when I see you speak the name of a program that I care about, I start to get worried.
Okay, thank you. That's an honor.
When Ohio State basketball is on your radar, I say, oh no, this is not good. But at the same time, I love your brand so much. And it's a very weird. Do you get that a lot? That like people, like I feel like people like you, but they don't at the same time because obviously the NIT, not everybody shares your affinity for it.
Right. It's you kind of have to tread that line between insulting people and having a lot of fun with them. It's and part of it too is often teams will just free fall right past us. Like that happened with Ohio State this year.
It did.
Like
yeah.
You came into the window and you came out of the window so fast. It was like a drive by. But yeah, I think that the real goal with it is to be likable enough that people have a hard time being mad at me when objectively I'm probably being a dick to them.
Yeah. So we got to talk about the elephant in the room when we're talking about the NIT, which is that the preseason number one team in the country, North Carolina, said they are too good for the NIT, basically. Which I like Brandon Walker's logic, which was that if you're too good for the NIT, why didn't you prove it throughout the season by winning basketball games to be too good for the NIT? I assume that you're not happy about this, that North Carolina has snubbed your beloved tournament and they do not want to play in.
Yeah, that's part of why I'm here today. I'm upset with North Carolina, obviously a little personally offended. Definitely a bad look for the NIT or for a guy, trying to make his bones being about the NIT. Kind of a direct assault on my livelihood, you could say. So that's the personal side. But I think the important thing to remember here is just that there's got to be some consequences. And I've been told that the SMU death penalty isn't on the table, so that's not happening. So I think we're really in the boat of just a public shaming. And for me, what that looks like is people seeing UNC for what they are. I think UNC, right, they try to lean into this public school brand, right? They're the tough public school. They stand next to Duke. It's like there's that episode of Family Guy where somebody hires a really ugly person to stand next to Meg so that Meg doesn't look as ugly. That's UNC standing next to Duke, right? Where if you take Duke away, UNC is the biggest douchebags on the planet. It's like they're one of these schools. Every state has a cake eater school, right? They have a cake eater public school. Like Michigan has Michigan, Mississippi has Ole Miss, Washington has Washington, Iowa has Iowa. Like it's usually the first one. It's not the ag school. There's some differences. There's some states that are weirder, but there's like 15 or 20 states that follow that pattern. Mm-hmm. In North Carolina, it gets jacked up because Duke's there. And UNC did a great job of kind of holding away from this for a really long time, right? Like Dean Smith, so much integrity. Roy Williams, so much integrity. I think both those coaches would have played in the NIT. And that's not to put this on Hubert Davis either, right? Like, I think this is happening above Hubert Davis's level.
This goes all the way to the top is what you're saying?
This is, Bubba Cunningham, potentially, I don't know who the governor of North Carolina is right now. He's next on the list, but it's definitely, like, I'm not holding, aside from the AD, Cunningham, who I assume was involved, I'm not holding any personal anger. This isn't about any one person, right? This isn't about, it's not about Hubert Davis. It's not about Armando Bacot. It's not about Caleb Love. It's not about any UNC. It's not about Tate. Huge fan of Tate. But it's about all of them, right?
Yeah.
And it's about, and this was one of the things, putting out our official statement on Sunday after they declined, one of the things we got was a lot of UNC people coming at us and being like, you're kind of right. Like, we are getting a little soft. We're getting a little country club.
Whoa, really?
Yeah,
support.
It was so by no means the majority. But.
You think the Carolina people listening to this are in agreement with you? Because when Carolina didn't make the NCAA tournament, and they declined the NIT, my gut instinct was like, that makes sense. They were the number one team in the country to start the season. They had such a high. They ended their season last year on such a high. This has obviously been a disappointing season. It feels like the guys hate each other and they just want it to be over. But then as I thought on it more, I was like, if you don't want to play, just don't let the players just not play. Like all the players that hate each other could just opt out and get ready for the draft if that's what they want to do. But there are freshmen, there are walk-ons, there are there are other guys on that. I'm sure you can find 5 guys in that program. They're like, we would have loved to play college basketball.
I would assume so. Doug Gottlieb, standard of moral fortitude,
yes,
had a good point of basketball players like to play basketball.
Yeah, it's controversial to say in this day and age.
I know that's not. I know the Ben Simmons thing has kind of changed that. We're in a different era, but the NBA isn't about it. Yeah,
there probably were some guys in Carolina's locker, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of those walk-ons. Some probably did want to play, but also if I was on that team and Hubert Davis came in and was like, hey, listen, man, so we accepted the NIT bid. Our top 8 guys are all opting out, so you're going to have to start in every single game. Good luck. I would be like, Coach, I'm also opting out at this point. Never mind. I'm out. So what I guess explain, how did you become the NIT guy? I've never really understood that.
So as with a lot of things in life, I had a little too much time on my hands. It was 2017. I was pretty fresh out of college and started the NIT pool as a joke. The joke was on me. I fell in love with the NIT. I think it was a second round game in Bloomington, Illinois, between UCF, who had Taco Fall at the time, and Illinois State. There was a transfer between the two. I forget which direction it had gone. So there was a little bit of like, old foes going on. There may have been an issue with the scoreboard or the clock in Bloomington, and so they were like having to announce the time or announce the score every few seconds. That's a detail I haven't been able to find confirmed, but it's in my memory, so I think it happened. And the game ended with 2 fouls, unintentional, away from the hoop within the last 6 seconds. And I was like, "This is awesome.
So you're kind of like the cousin of the guy who runs the Sickos college basketball account, where they look for just like perverted instances of basketball. Because the fact that you got hooked on 2 fouls, an NIT game in Bloomington, Illinois,
right? And it's like the NIT. I mean, and this is part of where it's like, I'm trying to not be a jackass, but the NIT is often hilarious. And what you see a lot in the first round games, like I live in Austin, so I went when Texas played in the 2019 NIT. I went to all 5 of their games. First 3 games are at home. First game, they're hosting South Dakota State. And like going through warmups, they're kind of laughing a little bit. Like you don't really, they come out flat. I think Mike Daum was still on that South Dakota State team. It's a good game. It's coming down to the wire. They're kind of like getting tested, but then, and this kind of gets back to the basketball players like to play basketball point. Like under 4 minutes, it's on.
It's on. Well, I remember the mindset in 2008. We won the NIT at Ohio State, and our mindset the entire run was we hate that we're here. We're embarrassed that we're here. But also a certain thing, like a switch gets flipped where you realize the only thing more embarrassing than playing in this tournament would be losing in the first round or the second round or the third, Right. So we then as a team would like, we're like, well, let's smoke these dudes, I guess, if we're going to be here. You're right, because there is something where it's like at the end of the day, there's a score, there's a clock, there's a referee and a ball and 2 hoops, and you're like, we have to win this game. But the lead up, the practices going into these NIT games weren't exactly as intense as they were going into every other game throughout the Big Ten season, I would say.
I would imagine. I think that it was maybe Buzz Williams last year was like, we're not going to scout for Elkhorn State. We're going to take a day off. We're just going to go play ball. Yeah. But yeah, and I think that's not a bad thing. It's okay for these kids to have fun playing basketball for these last 1 to 5 games of their seasons.
TJ, my producer over there, we're recording this, by the way, Tuesday afternoon. We're gonna put it out Wednesday morning, so everyone listening to this already knows what happened to Rutgers tonight. We as we were recording this don't know what happened. Rutgers is going to play tonight. Your thoughts as a fan of a team, TJ, that you thought was going to make the NCAA tournament. Now, in the snap of a finger, you're playing in the NIT. Where's your headspace at going into tonight? Okay, all right, there we go. That's pretty much the NIT.
Obviously, I was upset since Sunday. Didn't really care.
Like, if Rutgers loses, how do you feel tonight?
Terrible. We lose to Hofstra.
Okay.
I just feel like there's no way our players have like the energy to go out there and play.
Yeah,
at their hardest.
Yeah.
I
feel like our first non-sellout of the year. Like,
So Stu, you had me fill out a bracket for the NIT, and I was going through it today, and I got caught up on exactly what TJ said, where it's like I don't want to pick the best teams per se because the best teams might not have the juice for this thing. I think I ended up picking Washington State to win it all. I don't remember what seed they are, like a 3 or 4 or something.
I think they're a 4 seed again. Yeah.
Because I felt like they were the right mix of very good and also going to be motivated to play every game. Like this would be a huge deal to them, I think, if they won the NIT. As you're the expert though, as you have observed these tournaments through the years, who usually wins this thing? Is it a team like Rutgers that's like really pissed off that they didn't make it? Is it a team like Washington State that's, middle of the pack and has something to prove here in the postseason?
It is. It usually ends up being a pretty good team. Like usually,
it's still one of the teams.
It's still a pretty good team.
The one seeds. Yeah.
Xavier last year obviously had a tough run. I mean, a clutch run down the stretch to make the NIT. But they still graded out as one of the better teams in the field. Memphis in 2021, Texas in 2019, Penn State in 2018, TCU in 2017. Like these were, I think, the last team that wasn't that you couldn't have really circled going in as like, yeah, they're one of the best teams in the field, might have been George Washington, who I think won it in 2016. And so there is something to like, what is the mindset of this team?
Yeah.
With Rutgers and a team like Rutgers, where so much of what they do is just playing with that edge. Are they going to have that edge tonight against Hofstra? Or are they going to really have it because they're pissed off? Or are they not going to have it because they don't want to be there and they're banged up and they're ready for this to be over? And it's also, I mean, you brought up it might not be a sellout. Part of the weird thing with the NIT too is, at least, I don't know if this is still the case, but at least as recently as a decade ago, because my buddy talks about being a manager at Iowa, they didn't have, the season tickets didn't apply for NIT games.
Oh, so if you had Rutgers season ticket holders do not get tickets tonight.
Tickets went on sale yesterday.
Whoa.
But one of the consequences of that then is the people who are there have the best seats, right? There's not a lot of these blue hairs. There's not a lot of empty seats in the lower
You have to
bowl.
really be...
Like, you have to want to be there.
You have to really love Rutgers to be there tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes schools do show up.
You are the Grim Reaper of college basketball. I mean, the fact that your presence here on the show today has TJ is just dead. He's dead. He's got, there's nothing on behind those eyes right now. He's just like, I cannot believe that this man is
It took a lot of
talking
energy
about my program
to
right
pick
in
up
front
the
of my face.
Rutgers hat from the pile instead of another hat tonight.
Yeah, I mean, congrats though.
Hey, thank you. Happy to be here.
Quick break to talk about Elevated by AstroFlav. Tired of being soft when you should be hard? 40% of men suffer from hormonal imbalances and low testosterone, and no one is willing to talk about it. The average male testosterone level has decreased by 26% over the past 3 decades. The situation is this. You have a bunch of guys that are depressed. They don't have energy. They can't focus. They're gaining weight faster. Their libido is gone. Elevated by AstroFlav is an all-natural testosterone booster containing 2 powerful ingredients, Fedosia agrestis and Tongkat Ali. This combination in Elevated has shown results of 250-point increase in total testosterone, but can be anywhere between 200 and 400-point increase, which increases energy, improves libido, reduces stress levels, helps build muscle, and burn fat. Elevated by AstroFlav has over 500,000 bottles sold to men with amazing results. Get a free 2-week trial of Elevated Natural Testosterone Booster. Just pay shipping. Visit astroflav.com/barstool to try today. That's astroflav.com/barstool. Go do it now. My last question is, what the hell happened to Madison Square Garden? I didn't even realize until Jake Marsh pointed out to me the NIT is not in Madison Square Garden anymore. Where is it?
Yeah, the NIT is going to be, the Final Four will be in Orleans Arena out in Las Vegas. It got too big for Madison Square Garden, and like so many other things in American history, it's heading west to find its destiny.
It outgrew MSG. TJ, would you go to Vegas if
Big Cat
Rutgers
said he's paying my way if they make it. So yeah, of course.
Hell yeah.
I think it's the week before the
Are we gonna
Final Four.
It's Tuesday, Thursday.
If Rutgers gets hot, or do we just pivot as a podcast to an NIT podcast? I don't know if I can do that.
Of course.
I don't know if I can.
I think that they'll probably get beat by Seton Hall at home to not make it to the Final Four.
Oh, yeah. You guys already played this year, and it was one of the ugliest games.
43-41,
Hell
45-43, something like that.
Love that.
What else, Stu, while we have you, before we let you go, what else do you want the people to know about the NIT? Is there anything in particular about this year's tournament? Is there anything, because people, a lot of people are listening. I'm going to be completely honest. A lot of people are listening to this saying, what a stupid segment to do with the NCAA tournament going on. Why would you talk about the NIT? I don't give a shit about the NIT. Nobody gives a shit about the NIT. And yet I find myself as a guy who, yes, professionally, I am paid to break down the NCAA tournament. I won't lie. I'll watch some of the NIT. I just love basketball. So if there's no NCAA tournament games on, I will throw on the NIT. I will watch it. I will get into it. I will pay attention. So yeah, I do think there's some value to it. What would you like people to know though before we let you go? What is Yeah, I
think I guess two categories. First category, just about the NIT. It's a copycat league. Remember who came first. Remember who copied who. 1938, NIT was the OG. 6 teams, Madison Square Garden. Oklahoma State was the 1 seed. Temple won it. Next year, the NCAA has this great idea to have their own tournament. So remember who came first. And going off of that, too, the NIT is the more selective tournament, having 32 teams, which is a harder field to make than 68. The other thing is just with this Las Vegas thing, one big narrative that we're watching this year at the Bark and Crow is are Western teams going to have more success in the Final Four? Only, I think in the last 20 years, it's only been Stanford. I think they've done it twice in the last 20, but they're the only ones to win the NIT here east. So I'm curious about, Washington State and Oregon, New Mexico, who I think would probably travel pretty well. Hope to see that skeleton guy there in Las Vegas.
I think I had New Mexico in my Final Four as well.
Yeah, I'm wrestling between Oregon and New Mexico as this is being recorded.
Is it going to be a Western? Yeah,
right.
Western success when we get there. Interesting. A good litmus test of how old you are is if you ever remember a time when people cared more about the NIT, which is my father does, and my father talks to me. My dad, when he was a senior at Indiana, I think in 1980, they beat Purdue in the NIT.
79. Butch Carter.
It was 79.
Shot, yeah.
Butch Carter.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Woodson,
what it was.
Mike Woodson kicked it out to Butch Carter.
And then I think in 80 maybe did Indiana. Yeah, it was because 80 Purdue went to the Final Four, obviously, so it wouldn't have been
IU Purdue.
It was 79. Yeah, Butch Carter. He was roommates with Butch Carter. Butch Carter hit the shot to beat Purdue in the NIT. And my dad, when I was growing up, I remember him talking to me about how much that mattered, and I would just roll my eyes and be like, "There's no way that possibly mattered." Because my dad would simultaneously talk about how Indiana has won all these NCAA tournaments and Purdue never won anything, and then also talk about how the NIT is actually super important. And I was very confused as a child. But to your point, there was once upon a time, like in the 50s and 60s, where teams would turn down NCAA tournament invites.
1970, Al McGuire turned down. Yeah, he was, and then that was when the NCAA really stepped up the occupation, said you can't do that, you can't turn it down and be an NCAA school. So it's been hostile since then. There was a big lawsuit about 20 years ago. That's how the NIT came under NCAA control as part of that settlement. So it's
you shouldn't be able to turn down NIT invites. I don't think. I think
a little weird.
We need some justice for this North Carolina situation.
Like, okay, there are situations like Texas Tech. They're going through shit. I'm not trying to say Texas Tech needs to keep playing if this is like they don't have a coach. Georgia in 2018.
We need a ruling on whether you're going through shit.
Right,
yeah,
right. There needs to be. There's like in Georgia in 2018. I think they took a vote in the locker room and then put out the results of like we would prefer to not play, and so the committee didn't invite them.
You should have to, if you're not going to play, you should have to broadcast your team vote. I wanted a camera in North Carolina's locker room.
One of those things like they have in the Senate where it's flipping back and forth, yay or nay.
You should have to publicly vote, and that way everyone can talk about like whether Armando Beycott or Caleb Love or like,
I want to know who's
was
soft.
that. Yeah,
release the tapes. Release the tapes. I want to know which of these guys that are a foot taller than me is soft.
We got to figure out what the recourse is here for the NIT. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions? What would you do if you're put in charge of all this?
Yeah,
how do you punish North Carolina?
Well, the biggest punishment is not getting to play in the NIT. So they've already punished themselves with that. I do think, for anybody listening, I know that when I have kids, they will not be allowed to apply to the University of North Carolina. That's going to be an off-limits school. There's only one school that's off-limits right now. That's UNC. They've just some of this, like, starve them out,
They've undone all their goodwill that they did beating K last year.
Right.
In the Final Four
they really, what a vibe shift.
Yeah, it really did, just in the snap of a finger, change. Yeah. Plug something for the people.
Yeah, we're at www.thebarkandcrow.com, at The Bark and Crow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Mostly Twitter, but we're getting the Instagram. We do a lot of silly stuff in the summer, especially when the NIT's not going on. So if you want to, actually, we do like license plate brackets and shit, which again, much like the NIT, doesn't sound very fun, but I promise you,
once you get your foot in the door,
you're going to be fighting between the Wyoming license plate and the North Dakota one. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah. That is basically the pitch for the NIT is like, you don't think you like it. And then you have a game on and you're like, I'm not going to turn this game off. It's a 4-point game with 8 minutes left. Why would I turn this off?
ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, the worldwide leader in sports. You don't have to figure out what channel True TV is. Watch the NIT.
Everybody pretends like they don't care about the NIT, but then something like Robert Morris beating Kentucky happens, and everybody knows that it happened, and everybody remembers how it happened, where Yeah. So like, I don't know. People are hypocrites, as it turns out.
Well, I will say, I guess one last thing on the UNC point. We've seen teams decline the NIT before, and we have yet to see it not come back to them. Georgetown famously declined it. They would kill to make an NIT next year. Indiana declined a home game in 2017, said it was about it being spring break, not having students on campus. I think it was more about not wanting Tom Crean to get booed.
Yeah.
2019, they hosted multiple NIT games. So UNC, we're looking forward to seeing you next year, hopefully with a little bit of remorse.
So how many coaches have? So who Georgetown? What year was it?
That I'm not sure about. I think it was. I want to say 90s, but
it was like way back.
I think it was Thompson.
Oh, it was Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was trying to put together.
Not 100% on that.
Because Crean got fired after this.
Right. Well, I mean, Xavier won it last year with an interim coach, so you can win the NIT, you can play well, and that was, guy got the Georgia State job, so.
Yeah. All right. Who do you got winning it?
I'm gonna go New Mexico. I'm gonna go Richard Pitino gets his second title before his dad gets any. Calling it now. UNM. Hopefully they don't lose tomorrow night. I did pick a team that plays tomorrow night intentionally.
Stu, I really hope you don't take offense to my. That's the only thing I can just say is you are the Grim Reaper, but I mean that in an affectionate way. I love your content. NIT Stu is his name. Go follow him. Go support his work because it's needed in college basketball too. I love the levity you bring to it because the NIT is not. It should not be viewed as an embarrassment. It really shouldn't. I do believe that. It's like, but nobody wants to hear that. That's what, as it turns out, it's very, very hard to make the NCAA tournament. And winning the NIT, this genuinely is an accomplishment that should be celebrated. It's just that, like, we are so jaded as American sports fans that if you aren't literally the number one best team in the country, everyone thinks you're a failure and you suck. But no, I think the NIT is awesome. I wish it was back in Madison Square Garden, though. I'm curious to see.
I'm hoping for a comeback tour. Yeah. I think there's some. The attendance was crap the last few years. It's been bad. Penn State brought a good crowd in 2018, but that was the last time we really saw it get loud in there. So I'm hoping for a comeback tour.
We got to figure out something to like shake it up to get people to care again. I don't know.
We're trying to be that something.
Yeah,
we're trying to be
you are that something.
Follow the NIT.
NIT Stu, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. This is a joy.
All right, thank you to NIT Stu. We now know that Rutgers is out, so TJ will not, in fact, be making that trip to Vegas that Dan promised if Rutgers made it to the...
Probably for the best.
That would have been some fun content. I don't know how much our listeners would have cared about us breaking down the NIT Final Four as like the Elite Eight's going on, but oh well, we don't have to worry about it. In the words of Kanye when he's giving the Grammy speech, I guess we'll never know, right? That's All right, I want to talk about Coors Light. There's nothing like the excitement of the big tournament, but every buzzer beater for your team is someone else's bracket buster, and every game is a chance to turn the tables. When your pride or your money is on the line and you need to take a beat, take a moment to chill with an ice-cold Coors Light. There's only one beer out there that's literally made to chill, and that's Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, it is as cold as the Rockies. When you need to hit reset, just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment made to chill, and I got to say this. The number one question I get from people when I meet them on the street is, do you really love Coors Light as much as you say in your ad read? Because again, Coors Light is another sponsor that I've had through the years on multiple different shows through multiple employers. I freaking love Coors Light. I drink it in the winter when the mountains are blue and it keeps it cold for me. I go to the beach. I pack up the cooler, drink Coors Light. I drink it all the time, talk about how I drink it all the time. And when people meet me, they say, Titus, can I buy you a beer at a bar? I meet them at a bar and they say, Titus, can I buy you a beer? And I was like, yeah, duh, Coors Light. And they say, wait, you really drink Coors Light? I thought that was just a thing that you say on your show. No, false. No, I freaking love Coors Light, and you should too. When you need a strategic timeout from the madness, reach for a Coors Light. It is the beer that's made to chill, so you can refresh the spirit and jump back into the excitement. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/Titus. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. All right. I'm headed to, you're coming with, TJ.
Yep.
Tomorrow morning, I'm hopping on the PJ, which is, I don't know, cool, I guess. It sounds more fun to say, but like really, I don't know. This is not like, I feel like I'm supposed to be more excited than I actually am. So It's like a little weird, but I also don't want to be the guy that's downplaying flying on a private jet. So like, it's been a very weird couple days where you can tell around the office that people are pretty pissed off that they're not on the private jet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, I didn't fight to get on this thing, but somehow I just got an email from someone that was like, come to this airport at this time and you're going to fly on the Penn private jet to go. We're going to the Barstool Sportsbook, right? At the at the casino in Columbus.
Correct.
Where my brother used to live right down the street. I know the casino well. Lost a lot of hands of blackjack in that casino in Columbus. So I'm excited to get back to Ohio. But yeah, we're going to be watching the Thursday, Friday. So we're going to the games tomorrow in Dayton. The Wednesday playing games. And then Thursday and Friday and Saturday, we are going to watch all the NCAA tournament games from the casino. And we are going to do just gambling streams, basically, with who's all going to be on the stream? Me, Dave, Dan.
Portnoy.
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah, heard of him. Is he El Presidente, or are they two different people?
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Cool.
Big Cat, PFT, Brandon, Megan Making Money, Big Ev, Jersey Jerry.
Okay, there you go. There's the crew. A real ragtag of Barstool people. And me. And the reason I want to talk to TJ about this is because I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge gambler. I'm not anti-gambling in any stretch of the imagination. I actually enjoy it the times I do gamble. I just I haven't caught up with the rest of the world in terms of when I have a way of watching sports. I've done it my whole life. I have not caught up to watch a game and think about the overhitting or the the spread. What is the spread as the game's coming down to the wire? Like a great example was the Big Ten championship. Penn State's down by 2. They draw up a play they had a shot at the buzzer. They had the ball. An opportunity at the end of the game. Micah Shrewsbury draws up a play for the win, and it doesn't work out for Penn State. And Dan immediately just turns to me and he's like, "Thank God I had Penn State plus the under," or he said something, and I was like, how is your immediate thought not like, oh shit, Penn State almost won that game and then didn't? That's how I watch sports, So I just say that to I haven't trained my brain in that way. And the whole reason this is relevant is because I've now done 2 or 3 of these gambling streams here at Barstool HQ. And it is pretty clear to me that I'm speaking a completely different language. And not only am I speaking a different language, but people want to kill me. And I'm not even trying. The only person I'm really actually actively trying to troll is Brandon, because he brings it on himself. But the rest of the crew, I'm not really trying to troll that much. When Wisconsin and Ohio State played in the Big Ten tournament, I was taking some digs at Dan because that's it was our 2 teams playing, but it had nothing to do with gambling. It was I want my team to win, you want your team to win, so I'm gonna talk shit on your team because Ohio State got up to a big lead, whatever. But other than that, I'm never purposely I know that Jersey Jerry has the over, so I'm cheering for missed shots or, trying. I definitely am not doing that. And yet somehow I found myself in multiple occasions where people are looking at me like, what the fuck did you just say? Don't ever say that in the gambling stream. Great example. Big Ev, who I know is an Ohio State guy. I've met him before. We're playing Dan's team, Wisconsin, in the Big Ten tournament. We're doing the live stream. I thought Ev and I would bond over Ohio State beating the snot out of Wisconsin. At no point in time, unless you knew that Ev was an Ohio State alum, would you have thought that Ev was cheering for Ohio State. Yeah. At no point in time. This man was cheering for his bets and his bets only. And every time I was like, Ev, we're good. He's like, don't say we're good. That jinxes the bet. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And all of that is relevant, TJ, because now I'm about to step into this world on Thursday.
Yeah.
That not only am I the outcast, but this is the highest stakes possible. This is I was talking to Ev about this, that I was arguing with him about something, and I made the comment, I'm pretty sure sports gambling started with the NCAA tournament, which I know is not true, but I just said it for effect. That,
right, yeah.
It felt like that was the first thing anyone ever gambled on, ever, was who's going to win the first round of a college basketball game. So this is it. This is the biggest gambling weekend ever. And you have me stepping in, and I'm trying to break it down. I'm looking at a Utah State Missouri matchup, and I'm just like, man, that's going to be a fun game. Can't wait to see who wins. And they're all looking at it Utah State's a 10 seed. They're 1.5 point favorites. And so my questions to you are, am I going to make it out of this weekend alive? Because this feels like a setup for a trap, where I just get killed and or fired this weekend.
Right. So yeah, the difference between the streams that you've been on and the streams that you will be on is that Dave's there, and Dave like cranks it up to such a different intensity level for a regular weekend, especially when it's March Madness and you have like 6 games going on at once at sometimes, and he's got 6 to 12 bets going on those 6 games at the same time. It's stressful. I was there in 2021 in Chicago for March Madness, the first and second round there, and it is like he's looking to get mad at people if his bets are going the wrong way.
If his bets aren't hitting, he just wants to blame somebody.
He's looking for any way to, exude his anger on others.
First question, do you think me being a new hire helps me or hurts me? Because I see it, I could see it going either ways. Like it helps me because he doesn't want to shit on me too much because he doesn't know me super well. But then also I'm like kind of a new variable, and he's like,
it's more
this guy has bad juju. Get him out of here.
You're like in like a blank slate. So like if Thursday starts really well,
okay,
that's good for you.
That's great.
If Thursday starts poorly, you'd be like, get the new guy out of here. He's I wouldn't be surprised if he asks you for a pick because you're the college basketball guy.
Yeah.
And then if that hits, good.
But if that doesn't hit, am I fired?
No. He just might be mad at you loudly. But it's all like busting balls.
Yeah.
But it is intense.
It's going to. I made an observation in the gambling cave that it's the only place I've ever been in my life where you can say something's going to happen, and then when it does happen, everyone's still mad at you. Like an example is when you were doing this with Rutgers in the Big Ten tournament. I think you were just like, when they were playing, I forget. Yeah, it was some sort of Rutgers game. You did it too, where you're just like, we're gonna miss every shot down the stretch, and everyone's like, shut the fuck up, TJ, don't say that. And you're like, I'm not saying that to. Me saying that has no bearing on what's going to happen. I'm telling you, I've watched Rutgers all year. This is what's going to happen. We are going to go through a scoring drought. This is how it works. Sure enough, it happens. And then everyone like throws shit at you and says, why did you make that happen? You're like, I didn't make that happen. I told you what was going to happen. It's very bizarre. That's a very bizarre, because like in any other context, everyone would be like, holy shit, dude, you're a genius. How did you call that? But here it's like you calling it is actually a bad thing.
Right. And that's I wanted to try and help prep you on do's and don'ts of
like what do I do? What help me?
One
out.
Of the big ones is never make absolutes. Never guarantee anything.
Never say we got this.
Guarantee, and you did this in the Big Ten tournament. The G word is a big deal. Like, don't say guarantee. Brandon got in trouble for that when he first started. He guaranteed Mississippi State would cover a football game. And so, like, a bunch of people bet behind him. They're like, oh, he knows his team. Like, and they didn't do it. And then it's like, it's his fault that they didn't cover. So just remove guarantee from your vocabulary.
Well, I did that with Ohio State, Wisconsin. Didn't I? I came on the show. I guarantee that we were going to beat Wisconsin the first round. We get to the live stream. I guarantee everybody in the room we're going to win. Big Ev is yelling at me. He's like, don't do that. It doesn't work. It did work. We won, and not a single goddamn person in that room was like, "Good call on the guarantee." Not a single person. There was not one person was like, "Hey, good call, man. You totally called that."
Yeah, I would advise.
I told you it was going to happen. It happened. I get no credit.
Yeah,
you still shit on me like I cursed your bet
for sure.
Unbelievable.
I would remove guarantee from your vocabulary until Sunday.
Okay, I've learned that lesson. Good to know.
Commenting on vibes is a big thing that Brandon also got in trouble for. He don't do anything that you think could alter the vibe of the room. If people are feeling good about a bet, don't be like, but this bad thing could happen. That will throw off the vibe of the room. And then if the bet flips, that's your fault again.
Okay. What about just acknowledging that the vibes are good? Like if I'm like, hey guys, the vibes are good, or aren't they?
I would say
just don't
make sure the vibes are good before you say anything about the vibes being good. Don't talk about leans if somebody asks you for a pick. This is something Stephen Che did a couple weekends ago with his basketball picks, where he posted about his leans hitting, but his pick of the day didn't hit.
What? So a lean is what? Like a pick?
Like I feel good about it, but I'm not going to bet it.
So a lean is basically like I had them in my other bracket.
Kind of
like the people that fill out multiple brackets and then they're like, well, I had St. Peter's in my other bracket though.
Right.
I had them in the lead.
So if like Dave is like, Titus, you got a pick today? Don't be like, no, I'm leaning towards taking like.
Don't say lean. Okay.
In that situation, you want to be absolute about it.
Yeah.
And then you just have to fall on the sword if it's your pick at that point.
Okay. All right.
I would say make sure you have like a couple picks prepared. I can sort of explain to you spreads if
no, I know spreads. I know. That's what I mean. Like I know I have gambled before.
Right, yeah.
I just don't. Yeah, partake. Like I don't know. Like I didn't think it was. Yeah, it's just a different. I gamble, but I don't live in the world.
No,
you know?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely different.
I'm a gambling
flips.
tourist. I'm not a
Right.
I'm not a resident of gambling.
Yeah,
City,
you maybe
USA.
do like the Super Bowl. And,
Yeah.
the big four
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes, and now, yeah, I don't fully speak the language at the level that they do.
Right.
But yeah, I can dabble here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
If you mess something up, send an apology text.
Okay.
That's one of our graphics. Graphics guys here that does part of my takes thumbnails for their podcasts and some of their shirts. Triggs, he Big Cat had like a game of the year on an over, and Triggs took the under, and like the game ended at like 1 a.m. It was a West Coast game, and he texted Big Cat. He was like, "Nice pick, faded at 1." And Big Cat, that was after Big Cat had lost, and he was like, "What the fuck?" But he got an apology text in the morning, which resolved that situation.
Oh my god.
Oh
my god.
If you have a pick and somebody in the room with you has either the opposite or another pick,
This is what I'm worried about.
for a larger amount, just don't say anything. Just don't say anything.
Well, this is what I'm worried about is like I want to be one of the boys, so I throw a little money here or there, but I throw it in the wrong direction, and now all of a sudden, like Dave and Dan are riding on a pick that I took the opposite side on, and it's like
that's
I
fine.
I've been better off like not betting at all now because now I can't even.
Just maybe keep it to yourself in that situation.
So. Okay, would this be a good suck-up move? Not even a suck-up move, just like a good move to not get killed is just like honestly tail Dave and Dan. Just like ask them what they're doing, but they're gonna ask me, and then we're. But I just feel like being in the same boat with them, out of the gate, might be.
Yes, but I would vocalize that because if they are losing 5 in a row and then they find out, oh, Titus has been on all of our picks, now you're in trouble.
And they're gonna blame me for tailing them. Yeah.
Which again, all of this is imaginary, but it's all. Of course, it is. It's emotions.
What cracked me up about it when I was getting yelled at in the little caves we've done so far is I hear all these rules and if it works, and that's cool. But does it work? Because the other thing I've heard about all you guys is none of you are good gamblers.
Correct.
So
nobody, yeah.
So how do you have hard and fast rules about the do's and don'ts? Not you. I'm talking about everyone else. And you're losing money left and right, and then you're telling me that it's because of I don't know. You'd think at a certain point you'd be like, oh, okay, none of this shit actually matters, and it's just all, as it turns out, luck. No, that's not how they. Okay.
I would also say like,
got it.
If somebody, so let's say somebody has a parlay or something, and they miss by like 1 pick, don't be like.
Damn,
if only you, if only you had 4 legs instead of 5 legs, or if only you switched this with the over instead of the under. Just let them lose. That's fine. They could just lose on their own. The other big thing, especially for this weekend, is make sure you tweet about your Bracket Busters pick.
Bracket Buster, okay.
Because
Drake.
That's one of these things where attendance is being taken on who is promoting and who isn't.
Okay. Well, I'm promoting it on my show. I'm promoting it right now.
Put it in writing because they'll be like, you only tweeted 3 times.
You only tweeted, yeah.
There's been situations in the past where people's prizes have been revoked for not promoting enough.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. So,
all right. This is my first tournament at Barstool, and it's I've been told it's going to be very different. I in my mind, I'm like, how could it be different? You sit on a couch and you watch basketball. I've been doing this my whole life. I did this before I got paid to do it.
And you could do that this weekend, but I'm just saying, like, the ball will start rolling when somebody says, Titus, who you got? And then all of a sudden you're in the mix.
What if I'm not going to do this? It's just a thought exercise. What if I try to just go mute as long as possible? Like I pretend I have a sore throat.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can't. And then I just sit there and I see how long I can just sit there and not say anything. Do you think at any point in time it'll be addressed? Do you think like will I just be like wallpaper and like they'll just completely ignore me, or will like at some point like Dave turn to me and be like, we're losing all our bets because Titus hasn't said shit in 3 hours? And
I think you might be in trouble because I think you guys are sitting in the front with them, so it's gonna be hard to.
It's gonna be hard on a live stream with the microphones in front of you and know that you're on air and not talk. I think at that point he'd just be like, this guy sucks at his job like he's supposed to be.
I think you'll be fine. But you should be at least aware of these conditions going into it. And like everybody's betting within their means in the end of the day. So it's like, it's all for fun. But
yeah, I'm going to, for the record, I'm going to throw some money down. So like, I don't want anybody listening to this thinking that I'm not a gambler. I'm just, like I said, I'm a tourist. I like to visit every so often. I don't live in the world, and I got the mayors of gambling city USA, you know, like
and
all
this
the
is this is like the grand parade. There's the strawberry festival of gambling town.
And I'm just like, I got my fanny pack on and my 2 little kids, and we're from the Midwest, and we're just kind of like walking in like, oh, what do we got over here? Can I?
I'll try a strawberry.
And I just hope it doesn't turn into a horror movie. You know, I hope that we're in Act 1 right now, and I don't know if there's like a dark turn somewhere along this movie where there's an axe murderer coming for my neck.
No, I was in the same situation. Yeah, I was in the same situation with you. I wasn't a huge gambler before I like got into this world.
Yeah,
but March Madness is my favorite time of the year.
No, it's fun
on sports just because there's so much going on.
The other thing I'm nervous about is this is why I'm not like super excited about the private jet, I guess, because I've never flown on a private jet before, and that is definitely a pretty cool perk. And to get a new job at a company, and suddenly I'm flying on a private jet. Not only that, but I'm going back to a place I lived for 13 years. You know, and I went to school and everything. That makes it feel pretty cool. Don't love that like everybody in the office kind of hates me for that. You can kind of sense that there's like a like I feel like they posted the list of who's flying on the jet and who's not, and I just got like a lot of like I don't know, like I gotta apologize.
Yeah, you're like a kid that transferred high schools and is like starting at quarterback somehow.
Yes.
It's like, what does this guy think he is?
Yes, I'm Adam Banks on the Mighty Ducks, and everyone's looking at me like, who's this new kid that thinks he's the best player on the team? And I'm like, I never thought I was the best player. I'm not. Like Charlie Conway's the captain. He can be the captain. I'm just here to help. I don't know. So there's that. But then the other part is the weather sucks in New York, and it's supposed to be really windy tomorrow. And I'm not a guy who's scared to fly, but part of the reason I'm never scared to fly, TJ, is because getting on a plane in the United States, God, I don't even want to talk about this because this is bad vibes. This is bad vibes because if I don't know, this could be good.
Titus called it.
Yeah, Titus called it, dude. And then like this would be. I don't know. I'm trying to think through whether like this is a good idea to even talk about this, because like if something happens, this is my legacy, and like this podcast episode just gets like played all the time, and then like people are just like, yeah, God, that's really fucking spooky that this guy said that this would happen. But the weather's supposed to be shit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
My thing with I've never gotten the private jet invite, but I'm nervous about it ever happening because I am a notoriously heavy sleeper on airplanes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll fall asleep before takeoff and land or wake up on landing.
Yeah.
On like a 5-hour flight. I did that to Phoenix for Super Bowl week. So the last thing I want to do is like be a dead asleep snoring in front of like Dave or something.
Yeah, with a bunch of jackasses.
Somebody's taking their phone out and put it. Marty Mush did that to me on an Amtrak train once. He was like, "Look at this guy, he's sleeping." I'm like, yeah,
hey everybody!
Sorry, I didn't.
This guy sleeps.
I didn't do it on purpose. Like that's just how it is sometimes. But
look at this guy.
Yeah, so I think I would just be like, people always want to fall asleep on planes. I think that ride I would want to be locked in awake to make sure I don't embarrass myself.
I shouldn't have even mentioned this. I shouldn't have even said this. This is bad. This is really bad. I'm starting to understand the vibes thing now. I think I might get it, and that's the cruel irony of all this. Is like I finally understood it, and then. Unfortunately, I spoke a horrific. Like my mindset, by the way, has always been like I want to address the boogeyman because then I don't think he can hurt you. But like that's not how people. That no one else thinks that way around here.
Leave that boogeyman locked up.
Like if you go into a room and you say we're gonna lose every single bet, we're all gonna lose, we're all gonna be broke and you just acknowledge it, then you can't be scared if it starts happening, and like somehow that like works in your favor. But then I seem to be alone in that. So, dude, I don't know if I like this. I should maybe just drive. I don't like that I said that. I don't like that I said that. Okay. Quick break to talk about our friends at the Farmer's Dog. Dogs will eat anything: shoes, toilet paper, garbage, and even kibble. But just because they'll eat it doesn't mean it's healthy food. Here's an idea. What if dogs ate real food? Eating processed food for every meal isn't healthy. We all know that. And kibble is subject to multiple rounds of high heat processing, making it an ultra-processed food. Try something fresh instead. Feed your dog the Farmer's Dog. It's real, fresh, healthy food with whole meat and veggies, gently cooked in human-grade kitchens to preserve their nutritional value. Just tell them about your dog, and they'll deliver personalized, vet-developed recipes for as little as $2 a day. Meals arrive in pre-portioned, ready-to-serve packs, conveniently delivered on your schedule. Dog people all across the country have ordered millions of meals from the Farmer's Dog. It's never been easier to invest in your dog's health with fresh food. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/Titus. Plus, you get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/Titus to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/Titus. Go do it now. Your dog will thank you later. Farmersdog.com/Titus. By the way, Wednesday will be fun. I think the Arizona State Nevada game will be fun. I'm looking forward to that. But Thursday, that game, the games on Thursday I was going through the slate because like when the bracket came out, Jake and I didn't really spend a ton of time like looking at what day game or when the games are going to be played, where they're going to be played, all that sort of thing. But now that I'm taking a look at it, I am so fired up for Thursday. Like I don't know who made these schedules, but they are but to have West Virginia, Maryland start a 9-8 game to start us off, that is genius. That is exactly what you need. You have Utah State, Missouri, where Utah State's favored by 1.5. At 1:40 p.m. Eastern. I think that game is going to be incredible. I think like both teams are offensive minded. Both teams, it'll just be a fun game. I mean, the over under I'm looking at right now, 155 points. It's going to be up and down. It'll be fun. The winner gets Arizona probably, which is another team. Like that whole region is fun. That whole region is just a ton of fun teams. Furman, Virginia is early. A lot of people are on that upset pick. I don't know if I am. I think Furman's a little happy to be here more so than I think Furman's a year or two away from seriously serious. I think they're in their like Vermont Colgate stage where it's like we're going to talk ourselves into Furman a few years in a row, and then maybe someday they'll get over the hump. But I don't know. You could see. Charleston, San Diego State is a 12-5 that I had that I circled. San Diego State's favored by 5.5. Interesting. Illinois, Arkansas, Auburn, Iowa. Our Illinois, Arkansas is, I think, going to be the most fun game of the day. Auburn, Iowa will be a great game. All the 9-8 games are always fun. Oral Roberts, Duke. I mean, like the list goes on. You got Colgate, who Coleman is big on, and a lot of people are beating Texas. Texas is favored by 13.5, but people don't seem to care that much, and they think Colgate's got a good shot. Just on down the line, and then you close the night. I mean, technically the last game is UCLA Asheville, but the next to last game is Penn State Texas A&M. And I was looking at this slate and I said, honestly, I know I've said that there's probably like 8 games that are the game of the first round, and I understand how stupid I am when I say stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's the game. That's going to be the best game. So is that one. Wow, so is that one. But it does feel like every single game I said that about is on Thursday, and I'm so excited about that because that's what we need to start out the NCAA tournament. It's gonna be so fun. It's perfect. The schedule makers are perfect. Where are the 16-1s ever standalones? Really? No, I don't think so. I need
2
to go.
2:45.
2:45. Then we have 3:10 tip for Charleston, San Diego State.
9:20 for 20 minutes, and then 9:40.
Yeah, because that sucks when like there's only one game on and it's a 16 seed that's down by 26 to the 1 seed, and you're like, I guess I'll watch it, but like this is stupid. So that's nice. Thursday will be awesome. The NCAA tournament will be awesome. We're doing we'll do a show Thursday night after that whole slate of games that we'll put out Friday. We're gonna stick with the consistent schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for every show. So yeah, that'll be it. Next time you hear us, the games will be underway. Good luck to everybody with their brackets. One last thing I'd say is I've been getting asked about, I do a bracket for my dog Moses. If you're new to the show and new to my whole thing here, I have a golden retriever who's 12 and a half years old, and he has been filling out brackets for at least 10 years of his life. We've been doing this forever. His claim to fame was Florida Gulf Coast, I think. He called Florida Gulf Coast to... I forget how far he had them. He's also been horrifically wrong, but he called Florida Gulf Coast, and that's his claim to fame. He's not with me. I'm in New York. I live in LA full time. The dog is in LA. I have made arrangements for him to do his bracket tomorrow. So I'm hoping by tomorrow night, before the games tip off on Thursday, I will have the Moses bracket, because I've been getting blown up by a lot of people saying, who does Moses like? He picked Cleveland State a couple years ago, I know. I'd have to go back and figure out who's done better. He beats me every single year. Like, we put both of our brackets in the ESPN or the CBS, whatever, the Yahoo bracket pools. He beats me every single year. So there is that. And this is a legacy year for me. So I don't know. Maybe I should just have Moses fill out my bracket. Maybe I should have done that. Yeah, I should have done that. I should have done a lot of things. I'm going to go home and I'm going to go back to the hotel and think about this plane ride tomorrow. Anything else, TJ? Anything you have to say? Do you want to do a post-mortem on the Rutgers season? Not, it's not even worth it.
When did you get hired?
We forgot to even mention that they sent you a
huge care package. Thank you to the Rutgers men's basketball team, equipment department. They're always showing love. I wish I would have been able to.
Did they have a note in there that was like, because you initially said that you thought it was for the NCAA tournament run?
They did this to me 2 years ago. They sent me a bunch of stuff right before the tournament when they made it for the first time in 30 years, because they knew I was going to gambling streams, and they were like, take some merch, hand it out to people, spread the good word.
Yeah,
and I did, and they beat Clemson that year and then lost to Houston in the second round. But this year, I mean, the timing of the package is suspicious and leads me to believe it was maybe shipped on Saturday.
And it was shipped with the intent of you repping Rutgers throughout the NCAA tournament run that they were supposed to go on. So really, it's their fault because they jumped the gun. I mean, if we're being honest,
nothing in there said March Madness. So.
But objectively, as I look at this situation, I think them sending that is they jumped the gun. And it's not my fault. I think I'm off the hook. I think I'm officially off the hook. And you should blame the Rutgers equipment manager for, counting chickens before they hatch.
It is funny that, I guess, in retrospect, that they have 0 home wins since you got hired. They had the best. Their last home win was a neutral site at Madison Square Garden in February 4th.
I can't start out my biggest weekend of the year, and a huge weekend for me in terms of setting the tone of my tenure here at Barstool. I can't start out with you accusing me of sinking Rutgers season when you and I both know it was well on its way.
Yeah.
You had already hit that iceberg, baby. You were taking on water well before I got on that boat.
It's lacrosse season.
All right, everybody, enjoy the NCAA tournament. Watch our live streams, please. It helps me out. It helps the company out. It's and they're a lot of fun. They'll be a ton of fun. If nothing else, even if you're if you're someone who followed me from and you're not really you don't really know a ton about all these other Barstool people or whatever. Just, if nothing else, watch the stream to watch how uncomfortable I am trying to follow TJ's do's and don'ts that he provided me with, because that'll be fascinating. But we'll be doing that the first 3 rounds, and good luck to all of you filling out your brackets. We'll see you Thursday night or Friday morning. I guess the show will come out after the games on Thursday. See you guys.